Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is caitom and we are back with another speed build. I wanted to have this ready to upload on Sunday morning, which would be yesterday by the time I'm recording this and hopefully by the time you're watching this. But I didn't have all of the creative building stuff in me for a little bit, so I had to delay it for a little bit. But today we are back in San Sequoia with another family build. Are we surprised? Probably not. I am building on Anchorpoint Abode, the 30 by 20 lot with a pre-built rental that I of course immediately bulldozed upon site, because I just want to say that besides this current lot, every other lot in the San Sequoia runs wide instead of the typical long, which, listen, I'm not complaining except for in this very instance when I realized a longer lot would fit my build a lot better. Because now we have this random home in the middle of what seems to be a somewhat commercial area, and I don't know if you really want to start raising a family here, but you know, I guess with the view it's all good. And you know, it's The Sims. It's not like whether or not you're in a commercial area is going to have an advantage or disadvantage, so yeah. And as we continue to work on the exterior, I just want to highlight the actual style of the house because it's a lot darker and a bit more contemporary than what I usually build. And you know, that's exciting for me because I absolutely adore the front. Of course, I found an inspiration pic off of Pinterest and I think I executed it very well. You know, not to give myself a pat on the back. But if you also find yourself admiring the front like me, you can find this on the gallery under my ID caitom caitom, or you can download the tray files on my Patreon for free as always. All of that and more will be linked in the description if you're interested. So one thing I want to point out is actually me using the tool mod to downsize the new windows that came with the pack. I don't downsize them a lot, I just shrink them to 0.99, which is like almost the smallest increment. I think it can go up to 3 digits, but that's besides the point. I think that the windows are just slightly too large because if you look to like the top view and the windows are clipping, I feel like that shouldn't be a thing, or it shouldn't be a feature for the windows, because does that mean I have to make the walls taller for it to not clip through the top? I don't know. So I just used Tool to resize all of those windows, and I think they look pretty much the same, just, you know, without the constant clipping. And as for the landscaping, I just want to say it's pretty much whatever you're seeing in these early bits of the speed build. I go back in the end to add some bushes around the exterior, but that's pretty much all there is. I didn't really leave much room for landscaping in general, so you know, that's kind of expected. And as we move into the interior, the floor plan comes about pretty quickly, and it makes sense considering the shell of this house is mainly a bunch of rectangles side by side. I tend to struggle and make oddly shaped rooms with shells that aren't as rectangular, and it's also difficult to draw a floor plan because of that. And I think that's kind of like my biggest fault as to why I couldn't finish the other builds I tried building this week, because I have made an entirely different farmhouse multiple times, and I also wanted to make my houses a little bit larger than what I'm building today, and it's either I don't know how to make large shells, or I will forever struggle with farmhouses because I just could not for the life of me just settle on anything that I thought looked nice. And I don't know, maybe I'll have to give it a more in-depth try in the future, but for now we're sticking to modern. But here we are finally working on the floor plan. Like I said, it's pretty simple because of, you know, the rectangles and all that. I do want to mention that the little curved area with all the doors turns out to be kind of empty after I finished furnishing. I don't know what I could have put here. I could have put maybe like a random table with a vase or something, but I feel like you probably wouldn't see that in a house as sleek as this. I probably expect it more in a house that's a bit more traditional, a bit older, but you know, that all depends on the style. And of course, like always, we start in the kitchen. I tried to use the new appliances from the pack because, you know, like I said, new EP, the hype is still like in the air. or at least it's not dying down for me. But I do opt for these base game appliances and Dream Home Decorator counters because I think a blue interior would look really nice. And we can just ignore the fact that I think like 2 or 3 houses ago I did a blue interior as well. I think with this same wallpaper. But you know, at the time of me building this, I didn't realize, so let's just collectively pretend that I don't build the same thing in different fonts. But back to the kitchen. So as I get all of the little basic furniture down, I do make an effort to add some different clutter than what I usually use. And I kind of made it seem like it is fitting if you have a little one in your life, like the toddler that I do pretend lives here. And it ends up being along this side of the kitchen with the sinks because yes, I added 2 for extra glam. I mean, they already have expensive appliances. They might as well have a very nice kitchen throughout. But here I am cluttering the kitchen. I do opt for open shelving on this wall. I don't know why, because I think that the white wall looks very bland and it could have done well to have some counters, but I think it all works out in the end. Here I am just grabbing some debug items from, you know, the base game, from Parenthood, because surprisingly, Parenthood has debug items that I don't normally use, and I wasn't aware they had any until like the last recent month or whatever. But yeah, I add some books, I add some, I think they're paint cups or something. I don't know what interaction has those debug items, but I do pretend they're like either used cups that don't spoil, because if I do go in and use actual debug items, they will spoil and smell and stink up your kitchen. So hopefully it's a good substitute. I also add some artwork on the walls just above the sinks because I didn't know what else to add and I wasn't sure if I wanted to add a painting of any sort. So I thought some kids' artwork would be fitting. I do realize there is a lot of kids' artwork and there's only a toddler in this house. But, you know, maybe there are some relatives that come over and they're a part of this like really close-knit family. But, you know, it's all just for storytelling and all that. And here we are on the other side of the kitchen. I did playtest this build. I forgot to mention that earlier, but everything in this build has been playtested with an adult, with a toddler. So your Sims can cook, but I still made sure to leave an extra counter empty just in case something is placed on any of the other counters. And right over here above the sinks again, I'm adding a corkboard as well as, you know, more Parenthood items. I thought it would be cute to have these little sticky note items on the corkboard because I think postcards are really cute as they are, but I wish we could have some other corkboard items to stick on there, so that's what I do. I also add this new item that came with the Growing Together EP, the little puzzle, the framed puzzle. I don't know how it works because I got it out of the catalog, and I think in game your Sims go to the puzzle table and once they finish the puzzle they can frame it. So I don't know how that looks in game. I think it just looks blank. I don't even know if you can put a puzzle in it. But yeah, that's for you guys to deal with and not me. I'm just the one building the houses. But here we are in the living room. It is a very nice living room, to be honest, despite it seeming a bit small compared to the rest of the space. You have this gigantic window with a car parked in the front, but maybe the Sims here have a nice car and they consider that real life artwork. I don't know. But I do have the orientation of the TV on the wall beside the window. I was considering having it be in front of the window, but I thought it would be kind of weird to, I don't know, I guess you're parking your car and you get out and you see that your curtains are open and you see the back of the TV. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not fond of seeing the backs of my TVs when I'm trying to live in a very nice house. As for the furniture, I do use a Desert Luxe couch along with Dream Home Decorator. Armchairs? Are they called armchairs? They don't really have like an armrest. So are they just called single chairs? I don't know, but I use that as like an accent chair. And I also use a high school years, I was about to say high school living, a high school years rug, just to kind of bring some pattern and some color, because the couches are pretty plain and the floor is also pretty plain. I also add a gaming console, again with the controllers, except this time for 3, because maybe the parents like to play with their toddler and they have video game competitions or something. I don't know, I just thought it was cute. And I may or may not be choosing to add a console and those debug controllers in every single one of my builds starting like 2 builds ago. But here we are adding just some final clutter to this little corner. I do use one of the new big picture frames that came with the new EP, just because it's really nice to have such a large picture frame that you can kind of have as a little centerpiece, except it's not in the center of anything, it's just on the wall. And right over here is the entryway. So besides the entryway, like everything else in this little walk-in area is pretty much empty. I don't know, I wasn't sure of what to add, because I was thinking maybe the family just moved in and that's why you have these boxes, or I don't know, I wasn't sure, so I decided to just move on to the dining room, which is pretty plain, to be honest. I mean, besides some basic furniture and some wall art, there really isn't much to say about this part of the house, unless I should mention that I put windows on every single exterior wall to make up for my lack of decor. And just now you saw me put a vent above the oven because I finally realized I forgot to put one. So yeah, don't worry guys. I have play tested, I have checked, I have added the final touches. Although, I guess not all of them. I feel like I could have added maybe placemats on the table, but I didn't know if that would take away from how maybe fancy this feels. And one thing also, I do end up taking away 2 of the chairs, just because I think having the whole like entire set seems a bit excessive. And you know, this house is meant to sleep 3 people max. There is a single double bed and a taller bed, so unless they're having friends over, they don't really need the extra chairs. And one more thing about the chairs, I don't forget to put a toddler chair. I put 2 for some reason. I think I just wanted to take up space, but you know. Don't worry, it's there. I actually have play tested that, so your sim can put the toddler inside, they can take it out. Sorry, not it. They can take the toddler out. So it's all fine, all good. And here we are in the primary bedroom. So I know I did say that this family is a family to a toddler, and this house or this particular room doesn't really feel like it would belong to parents. But maybe the parents here are just really young and they're new, or they just have a creative bone in their body that leads them to opt for this geometric bed sheet with, you know, bright colors and a bright fake headboard. You saw me add some clutter just because I didn't want it to feel empty, but at the same time I didn't want this to feel super messy, which, you know, clutter doesn't really get messy in my opinion. I just didn't want to make it seem not tidy, and I feel like if you're a parent, you probably have some sort of tidiness in like an area of some sort, and I feel like for these parents, they probably keep the headboard clean and they kind of leave most of the clutter to the desk. So for this desk setup, I do use a streamer's I think it's like first PC or something, but my whole little backstory is maybe the parents here are really into movies, they're really into film, they work a lot in electronics, so of course they have a bomb setup, and that means a main monitor, a vertical monitor, and just like really nice PC stuff, just so they can watch movies from home, but also because San Sequoia has that that rabbit hole movie theater. Very exciting. I haven't actually gone or seen any of the, the little moodlets that you can get, but I thought it was really nice and really fitting because base game also has these movie posters. I don't know if there's any correlation between the movies you see in the game and these movie posters, or if they're just like really funny references to previous Sims games. I wouldn't know. But yeah, I just put 4 up, and of course they have their own lights because, like I said, movie geeks, I guess. But yeah, here I am back on the headboards, just adding some more clutter because I feel like the middle seems a bit empty, and at the same time I didn't want to add too much. But yeah, here we are in the kids' bedroom, and I'm decorating for a toddler. I was originally gonna do an infant or a newborn, but I think at this point of everyone's gameplay, all of the infants have grown up into toddlers, or maybe everyone's just ready to take a break from infants, because I know I for sure am. I have a little family that I play with offline, and they gave birth to twin infants. The first time any of my Sims have given birth to infants and they give me twins, the game really said, double it and give it to the next person, huh? But yeah, I don't know if that's just because I've been so out of practice, or if I'm just really bad at taking care of my Sims, but those little things just would not go to sleep, or if they did, they couldn't stay asleep. And I don't know, I won't lie, I did cheat their needs a whole lot. I just can't deal with them. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna play the blame game and, maybe next time cheat to have a single child instead of twins. But back to the toddler's room. So I'm decorating with an overall purple color scheme with a mix of yellow and, some other colors. I realize I've almost talked through the whole room, but don't worry. I didn't think the 2 colors would work that nicely together, but those base game pictures you see on the wall with the little animals, they kind of sealed the deal. And it was fun doing a room that wasn't as blue as I usually do, because I tend to lean towards blue when I'm decorating, and hopefully it's not as obvious as I think it is. But anyways, I made sure to add all the essentials like building blocks, a potty, and a bunch of toys, both inside the room as well as a couple in the living room. I didn't include a Wabbit tablet, so hopefully that's not too much of an issue. I want to say that I added all the items for your little toddler Sims to build all the skills without a Wabbit tablet, but I may be wrong. I didn't check for that. So yeah, here we are finally in the backyard, and because the backyard takes up like 1/3 of the lot, I tried to make it as useful as possible. So besides this little patio area, there's also a very large sand pit that I assume if you have island living you can actually make sand castles, but if you don't, like me, we can stick with our base game debug decorations and pretend. Yeah, right over here is the pool and a hot tub. I think the original build here also had a hot tub, so I thought it was kind of fitting to include one for this build as well. And also included in the backyard is going to be an outdoor kitchen area. So I used a Desert Luxe grill and some base game island counters and a bar, because I don't usually include bars in my builds, but I thought it would be useful because I guess the family that I imagine would be living here would probably like to invite over their friends. Yeah, I do try and use the Desert Luxe bar, but those don't come with matching counters, and the little side tables that come with that little kit, it does not reach the height of a counter, so it just wasn't up to my standards. I want to say though that the base game counters kind of blend in with the grill, so hopefully it's not too jarring of a change, looks wise. If it is, maybe there are other counters that fit better. But besides this toddler slide, picnic table, and a couple planter boxes, we are pretty much done with the build. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video and would like to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not already. Feel free to join the Discord if you want to hang or chat with other swimmers. Of course, if you want to download this build, it is already on the gallery under my ID caitom. Tray files and details of the build can be found in the description box below. Thanks again for chatting with me, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.